Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor as due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in this gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is the Aki Mahaloya coming back with another lesson through the Spirit. Lord's will to be edifying. It's not going to be a long lesson, just straight to the point. But I received a comment. It says, thank you for the lesson. I don't know what I can or cannot do on the Shabbat. Forgive the misspelling. I want to be obedient to the best of my ability and knowledge. Would you please continue to teach on this? And this is by Randolph Brewster. He's pretty much been subscribed to the channel for some time. I'm not really familiar with who he is, and I assume that he's not part of a camp, but he's probably one of the jakes that listen to the truth and, try to follow the truth accordingly, because we know that there are different lots in this thing of ours, okay, or this thing of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because it really don't belong to us. It belongs to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But there's different lots and different offices in this thing, which, you have prophets, teachers, apostles, which are pretty much all the same thing, because prophets are teachers, and apostles, like Judas and Silas, they were prophets, okay, and teachers as well. Like Paul and Barnabas, teachers. Paul was a prophet. Okay, same thing with Peter. Even though he was an apostle, he was still considered a prophet, because we know King David is Peter in the reincarnation. In the scriptures describe King David in Acts, the 2nd chapter, as being a prophet of the Most High. And the scriptures also say that the prophets are subjected into the prophets. So if you was a prophet in your past life, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be a prophet today. Okay. But you have listeners, believers, followers, helpers, all types of different offices in this faith. And brother, he asked a simple question. He said he don't know what he can or cannot do on the Shabbat. Well, to answer your question, brother, that's really, how can I say it? Because there is a right and wrong answer, and there's no right and wrong answer. And what I mean by that is that there are protocols that you do not do on the Sabbath. According to the scriptures, you're supposed to keep the Sabbath holy. Okay, and we're going to get into that as well. But basically, it's a matter of what's in your spirit, according to your faith. Because, the scriptures say, judge not a man on which days he keep and which which days he keep. So we know, according to the scriptures, the Shabbat is from sunset to sunset. New moon, every new moon cycle, there's a new moon Shabbat. And we know that Shabbat falls is according to the new moon. Some people may keep it Friday and Saturday because they may have those days off. But ideally, the Shabbat is according to the new moon. Okay, that's what we teach here at Great Millstone, and that's actually proven in the scriptures. We've done lessons on it. I've myself done a few lessons on it in the past. Some people may say, I want to keep it Friday and Saturday. Now, if that's in his spirit to do that, then I can't scoff him and say, well, you wrong. Don't be keeping it that, keep it that day, because, if that's what's working for him in his spirit, according to his faith, then, he does what he's supposed to do. But hopefully over time, he will keep it according to the right days. Okay, like just say if you had to work today, let's say if you had to work yesterday, Shabbat ended yesterday night, Wednesday evening to Thursday evening, and let's just say if you had to work and you say, you know what, well, I want to really keep the Sabbath, I'm gonna do it Saturday to Sunday or Friday to Saturday because I have those days off, then feel free to do that. But at the same time, the scriptures say, be not overly wicked and be not over righteous. So, it's a matter of grace. And this is why we have this grace period. This is why we have the liberty in Yahweh Shai. This is why we have grace, because we can't keep the laws perfectly. But ideally, the Shabbat will fall according to the new moon. So, you want to abstain from things that you can abstain from. Like me personally, I don't cook on the Sabbath. I try to have something prepared like a day or two before that, or something that's going to hold me over. Sometimes I may go on a fast or a water fast, or if I'm famished, then basically what I'll do, I'll just go grab some food. I'll go grab something to eat. I don't deal with women on the Shabbat. I try to stay away from women, on the Shabbat. If you have a wife, then, that's kind of out of the question. But overall, you want to abstain from having sex or dealing in any type of pleasure. The scriptures say we ain't supposed to buy or sell on the Shabbat, but we know under certain circumstances, things happen. Sometimes, you may have a business or something like that, And depending on your business, you may not sell on the Shabbat, or you may, like last week. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, this one Jake, man, his spirit, how the spirit works, he hit me up. He said, man, I want to buy something from you. He wanted to buy some tires from me and stuff like that. And it was the Sabbath. And I was like, oh, shit, because I almost forgot. And I'm back in my mind, I'm like, well, shit, it's the Sabbath. I don't want to sell this because it's the Shabbat. And the fact the dude didn't even hit me up later on that day, which is through the spirit. But like 2 days later, he hit me up and I was able to sell the tires to him. So that worked out perfectly. But overall, you want to abstain from doing pleasure. Anything that's within your power to abstain from, then do it. You have the power to not buying or sell, because me personally, sometimes I will buy on the Shabbat. If I'm hungry, I will buy, and then you could say that's off, but we understand what Yahweh Shai said too. He says that he made the Sabbath for men and not man for the Sabbath. So, the Sabbath is put into play for our sake. So there's nothing wrong with doing a lawful deed, because we could get overly technical and say, well, you turned the lights on, or well, you got the kitchen stove on, or you got the refrigerator on, or you took out the trash. We can get overly technical in the law, but it's not about that. You see what I'm saying? So basically, it's up to your discretion. But I would say, me personally, I would try to refrain from selling. I would try to refrain from dealing with women, sex, working out, doing things that deals with pleasure, Just keep it bare minimal as possible. You can stay in the crib and read or study or get your rest in. Because me personally, I like to sleep. But get your rest in, or, study or meditate, or just sit your ass at home, shit, and just stay out of sight, out of mind. Now, shit happen. You may have to run an errand. You may have to go to the store. Okay, big deal. But overall, you want to abstain from pleasure. Don't pop your woman. You ain't supposed to have sex with your woman on the Shabbat. You ain't supposed to be going out there partying and clubbing on the Shabbat. Now, I've seen times that brothers have gotten together on the Sabbath and got some food and went out to eat. That's fine, because you're breaking bread, and that's a good deed. You with the brothers. Or if you go and sit down and you eat somewhere because you're hungry, so be it. But overall, you want to abstain from all manner of pleasure. Okay, so this is the book of Exodus 20, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start at verses 8. But it says, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy." Okay, and holy means to be separate. Okay, so you want to abstain from certain dainties on the Shabbat. Okay, have your protocol. You may want to go on a fast. You may want to study, whatever, read, sleep. You know what I'm saying? And if you got a woman, lay up in bed with her, but don't do nothing. They say, well, hey, can your wife hug you on the Sabbath, brother? Come on, Jake. Don't be simple. A fucking hug is a fucking hug. Can your wife kiss you on the Sabbath on your cheek? Come on, Jake. Stop being simple. There's nothing wrong with that. But overall, you ain't trying to be sticking and moving, man. All right, you ain't supposed to be sucking on the nipples and the toes and having sex with her and kissing on her neck. Nah, man, you can wait a fucking day for that shit. But at the same time, them horny demons kick in too, because I notice, like, a lot of times, man, brothers, they may go outside and do some things, or they may be running errands, and then all manners of Satanism come to you on a Shabbat. This is when chicks want to throw you the number and pussy and all this other shit. And if you weaken your spirit, then you gonna fall for that. But it's so funny, because after, she throw you what she throw you, then the next day you try to reconnect. There's no trace of that to show you that was Satan. But it reads, it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days should thou labor and do all, it says, and do all thy work. So you got 6 days of the week. You take care of your business, you run your errands. And to be wise and circumspect, if you want to refrain from buying or selling or going out to get food. Because sometimes me personally, the day just be too hectic. I don't have time to prep. But, I say a day before the Shabbat, go out to the store, get you some bread, get you some turkey meat or whatever, man, or cook you like a nice healthy meal, something that can last you over into the next day or so. That's what I would do. Like, I always try to have food prepared for the Sabbath. And if I'm not, I'll go get some food, or, I'll make like some sandwiches, some cold cuts or some shit, some chips and, some water and some fruit, and let that be that. But I try to abstain from cooking on the Shabbat, and it's been a long time since I actually cooked on the Sabbath. Now, I will admit that I do have an electric skillet. Now, I don't know if it's the same. I mean, there's always ways to try to make things work, because I got like an electric skillet. It's like a little portable little stove that I use if I'm like in dire need to make some food. But then you could say, well, that's the same thing as turning on the stove, you know what I'm saying? But the technicalities is unlimited. It's like, okay, you offend here, you go off there, you offend here. But me personally, I got like a little electric stove that if I'm real hungry, I'll just cook on that, like something quick or some bread or some shit, and be done with it. But overall, for the most part, 95% of the time, I already have something prepared, or I may just don't eat. And I'm definitely not having sex or dealing with women on the Sabbath. All right? That's definitely not going to happen. But it says here, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy power, and in it it says, and in it thou should not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven, earth, and the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and he hallowed it, man. Okay, so this is the commandment from the beginning. The Lord created the earth, and on the 7th day he rested. So technically we're not supposed to do no work there, man. But understanding we're not in our sovereignty. Now, when we get in the kingdom, we ain't going to do shit on the Shabbat. We're going to shut down the cities. We ain't going to deal with nothing. We're going to be cool. We just going to be chilling. The day of rest. Our cities are going to be shut down. The heathen as well. Nobody's not going to be doing a damn thing. It's going to be a true day of rest. Okay, rejuvenation. And the Shabbat is good, man. You know, Sabbath is good because that's when I get the best sleep. Especially coming in this wicked kingdom. The Sabbath is beautiful, man, because we need that rest. You need that day to unwind. And I look at it as a day of unwinding and giving time to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, and yourself. Okay? You've earned that much. Take advantage of it, shit. Sometimes I go to bed at 7 o'clock at night on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my excuse to not do shit. You know, I'm watching videos all day or, you know, reading or doing videos. And most of the time, I don't even have the TV on. I'm chilling. Or, you know, if I get a little bored, I'll watch some TV or should I play some video games? And you can say, oh, that's off, brother. Look, I don't give a fuck what you say, man. At the end of the day, man, we doing the work of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. You know, but this is up to brothers' discretion and according to their faith. So I ain't going to tell you, hey, brother, don't make you a turkey sandwich on the Sabbath. I ain't going to tell you, hey, brother, don't cut your lights on. Nah. You know, but at the same time, you do want to abstain from pleasures. I put it to you that way. You know, so whatever's in your spirit. Let's look here. Look up the word Sabbath, because Sabbath just means like rest, and it comes up 116 times in the King James version. And we know here Exodus 31 and 14. Matter of fact, let's start at verses 12, because in the ancient world you break the Shabbat, and this is when we had sovereignty. Your ass would be put to death. Like shit. I remember when man got put to death for picking up sticks on the Shabbat, and the Lord put him to death. You know, so it was very serious at that time because these are the commandments of the Heavenly Father. Now we're not being solely judged on the law per se, but you still don't want to overly offend in breaking the law, and you don't want to be going off on the Sabbath just because we're not being judged on that technicality on the fly. You know what I'm saying? Because the Lord can still hold those charges against you and get you on the back end. So don't take Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai's holy day for granted either. Because the high holy days are considered Sabbaths as well. Okay, like notice the Passover, you know, the Passover, you got the feast, you got different high holy days that fall on the Shabbat. But it says the sign of the Sabbath, it says, and Yahweh spake to Moses, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbaths you shall keep. For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahweh that doth sanctify you. And sanctify means to be cleansed. It says, ye should keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth should be surely put to death. For whosoever doth any work therein, that soul should be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the 7th is the Sabbath of rest, holy unto Yahweh. And whosoever doth any work in the Sabbath day, he should surely be put to death. Okay, so that was the penalty for breaking the Sabbath. You go off, you be put to death. Okay, now that Yahweh Shai has died for our transgressions and have took those transgressions upon himself for Israelites, now we have grace, but we still want to rehearse the righteous acts. We don't want to just deliberately go off because, you know, you ain't getting put to death on the Sabbath right away. Because if you go off and you do folly on the Sabbath, then bad things can happen. If you found out and you in the wrong place at the wrong time, not being circumspect, then the Lord can bring judgment on you. Okay, and there have been accounts of that. It says, wherefore the children of Israel should keep the Sabbath and observe the Sabbath throughout our generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. Okay, So there we go. Let's go here. Isaiah 58. And let's start at verses. Damn. Yep, let's start at Isaiah 58. And let's start at 13. It says, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own words. Then thou shalt delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and to feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, in the mouth of Jehovah the Lord have spoken it. So overall, the Lord wants us to come before him and give him praise, which we do that every single day. Okay, because every Sabbath the congregation was to come before Moses and Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And we worship the Lord, which we worship Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai 24/7. It's just not subjected to one day, but it was known that the congregation would assemble for the Shabbat. Like back in the day, we had the Shabbat services. We'd do them every week, and do the ceremony, and it's just like the Passover service, and we'd do it every week. But we got to the point now that we've been built up in the spirit that we didn't have to do it every week, but it still may be a good practice for us to get back into doing the customs of the Sabbath, at least every other week out of the month, just whatever the spirit compels, just to keep brothers freshened up in that department. But overall, man, you don't want to have your own mind. You don't want to be subjected into your own will. Just meditating on the Lord, studying, praying, fasting, sleeping, doing lessons, whatever. Something that just keep you occupied in the spirit, just to keep you anew. Not all this other fodder. You don't want to be at the club. You don't want to be at lounges. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be, at the bar getting drunk and all this other shit, If you go out and have a drink and some food with some brothers, that's fine and dandy, it happens. But overall, you want to abstain from doing your own will. All right. Now, this is another account in the book of Luke 13:10, because one thing about the wicked scribes and Pharisees, they were hypocrites because they was basically watching Yahweh Shai to see what he do on the Sabbath. Like the Lord healed the blind man. Okay. The Lord healed on the Sabbath, and he gave examples as far as like if you had a sheep or a sheep in a ditch, would you let it die in a ditch because it's the Sabbath, or will you help it out? Okay, because there's nothing unlawful about doing a good deed on a Shabbat. Okay, like if somebody is suffering from a life-threatening disease and I have the ability to help them, and it so happens to be the Sabbath day, then why won't I help them? Well, I just let them die trying to be over righteous. No, man. Okay, like if I'm taking out my trash and the old lady next door, she needs help taking out our trash, do I say, well, it's the Sabbath, I can't help you? Or do you help the lady? Or if a brother need a jump start and it's the Shabbat, do you let the brother stay stranded, or do you go out and do you help him? You see, you got to know, what I'm saying? It's just a matter of being in the spirit. So this is Luke 13:10. I'm going to start at 10. It says, and he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity, which is a sickness, 18 years, and was bowed together and could in no wise lift up herself. And when Yahweh Shai saw her, he called her to him and said unto her, woman, thou art loose from thy infirmity. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was, it says, and immediately she was made straight and glorified Yahweh. So that was considered a good deed. It says, and the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because that Yahweh Shai had healed on the Sabbath. Indignation is righteous anger. He was pissed. It says, and said it to the people, there are 6 days in which men ought to work, and them therefore come and be healed, and not on a Sabbath day. And the Lord then answered him and said, thou hypocrite, doth not each one of you on a Sabbath day loose his ox or his ass from the stall and lead him away to watering, meaning that you feed him? You see what I'm saying? Because they was being over righteous, but yet at the same time, they was breaking the Shabbat. And it's not even a matter of breaking in attention, but just you have things you doing in your everyday life. Like you got to wash your ass, you got to brush your teeth, you got to, do certain things. You got dishes in the sink. Sometimes I let the motherfuckers sit there, but if it's a nuisance, I'll wash the damn dishes, man. But it says, and ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan have bound, lo, these 18 years be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath day? And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him. So he cut their ass. And another thing too, which was so spiritual, because we know the Shabbat represents a day of rest, and he gave her rest from her infirmities, because she suffered 18 years with this plague, man. And the Lord gave her rest from her infirmities on the Shabbat, man, which is the ultimate form of rest, man. Relief. So there's nothing wrong with doing a good deed on the Sabbath, man. And don't let nobody tell you, brothers, anything different. If you were doing a good deed that's in the spirit on the Shabbat, man, hey, don't let no nigga come and tell you, man, you going off. Nah, bro. Yahweh Shai said it. He made the Sabbath for men, man. Okay? Let's go back here. Luke 14 in the start of verses 1. It says, and it came to pass as he went to the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Shabbat, that they watched him, and behold, there was a certain man before him which had dropsy. And Yahweh Shai answering and spoke unto the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? And they held their peace. And he took him and healed him and let him go. And answered them, saying, which of you shall have an ass or an ox fall into a pit, and will not straightway pull him out on a Sabbath day? And they could not, it says, and they could not answer him again to these things, man. So that's the point. He did a good deed, man. Okay? Sabbath, man. And I'll end it after this. Lord of the Sabbath. Before. Yep, how much? Matthew 12:12, it says, how much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore is it lawful to do well on the Sabbath days? It's lawful to do well. So yeah, man, you're doing well. If you ain't doing your own will and on some folly, then yeah, it's lawful. Shit, if a brother need a ride or you need to pick him up, or the brother need to go get some food, shit, go take him. Can't say, oh, brother's the Sabbath, I can't go get you nothing to eat. Get that man some food, man. You know? And I ended after this. This is the book of Mark 2 and 20. Let's start at verses 23. And this is the question there. It says, and it came to pass, Mark 2 and 23, and it came to pass that he went through the cornfields on a Sabbath day, and his disciples began as they went to pluck the ears of corn. And the Pharisee said it to him, behold, why do they on the Sabbath day that which is not lawful? Meaning, why are they doing this? Why are they working? And he said it to them, have you never heard or read what David did when he had need and was hungered, he and they that were with him? Because remember, the showbread. It says how he went into the house of Yahweh in the day of Abnathar the high priest, and did eat the showbread, which is not lawful to eat, but for priests. And he gave also to them which were with him. So he fed them. And this is why I made the account that, hey, if you hungry and you got to go grab some food, then do what you got to do. Do what's within your power. You know, if it's within your power to abstain from certain things like cooking, then do it. Like I made the account, like if I'm too famished and that's my only resort, I have like a little electric skillet, you know, shit you make pancakes and eggs and shit on. I may fry me a sandwich on there or something. You know what I'm saying? And he's giving the example. That's lawful. Okay? Technically it's not lawful, but it's lawful. Okay? Because it's not a wicked deed. You're just eating. And it says, and he said it to them, the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath, right? Because we don't bow down to the Sabbath. The Sabbath is put in place for us, man. That's our day of rest. That's our off day, you know? And it says, therefore, the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. Okay? So, yeah, brother, hopefully that answered your question and gave you some clarity on what you can do. But it's really, you know, conducive on your spirit, your strength, your faith. But I would say abstain from all types of pleasure. You know, if you can abstain from having sex and, you know, just doing things that appeases the flesh, then I would say do so. You know, everything else is pretty much at your discretion through the spirit. But with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to you. How about Shemi, how was shy? Lord's will, you will edify until the next lesson. Shalom.